Hello and welcome back to Physiatrics. As I have said in my previous video of bones, muscles and joints, that today we will be discussing the components of physics and their role in physiotherapy. This physics actually forms the basic foundation in physiotherapy. Let's know how this physics helps us in framing a therapeutic protocol. The understanding of the concept of physics and the way of implementing it in our therapeutic play marks the efficiency of a physical therapist. As the name suggests, physical therapy, so we must understand the basics of physics to have a good therapeutic intervention, which means we use the fundamental blocks of physics in our therapeutic play. How? Like for example, force. As you know, force is taught to everyone in physics. We have only learned or read about what is force, but we will know how this force and other components of force act in our body in order to make a movement possible. What is physics then? Physics is a branch of science concerned with the nature and properties of matter and energy. The subject of matter of physics includes mechanics, heat, light and other radiations, sound, electricity, magnetism and the structure of atoms. Physics deals with various things. First one is the mechanics part, second one is the heat, sound, light and other forms. So, this mechanics part actually forms the base or the foundation of a physical therapist or a manual therapist, where the manual therapist uses his own forces to generate a force in the client's body to make a movement possible and regain some lost movements. So, now the fundamentals of exercise therapy includes various components of mechanics of physics. Mechanics can be simplified into two parts, the concept of statics and the concept of dynamics. As you know, statics means something still. So, when an individual is still or at rest, what are the forces and what other things that affect the individual we will be discussing today. Then the other part is the concept of dynamics. In the dynamics part, we will be learning how that an external force is making an impact or making an effect on our body. So, let us start the concept of statics. The concept of statics include concept of force has three parts. First, the what is force. Second, the magnitude and direction of force. Third, the resolution of forces. I will be explaining how these three things vary from each other. First thing, let us know what is force. Force is defined as an interaction that when unopposed will change the motion of an object. As I said, it is an interaction. That means what? Now, it is a relation between two objects, which when unopposed means when some external or other force does not hinder the object or force, then the motion is possible. It can make a body move from rest and so also can bring a body to rest when in motion. It is a vector quantity, the state of motion or rest of an object due to a force which is completely depends on the magnitude and direction of the force. What I want to say, a human being stands still, then it will stand still until and unless some force act upon it to make the movement possible. That means the human beings have to generate a force or some external force has to work on them in order to bring about a motion. Okay. For example, like moving our arm. My arm is still. Until and unless I contract my muscle of biceps, my arm will not move, and until and unless I will contract the muscle of my triceps, my arm will not straighten. Okay. So, what is magnitude and direction of the force? The magnitude of a force is the amount of force required to move or stop an object from rest or motion respectively. The magnitude is represented by a numerical or by the length of an arrow when represented graphically. The direction of a force is represented by an arrowhead. In the first figure, the body is at rest. The body will remain at rest until and unless there is some external force working on it. That means, as I said, a human being stands still until and unless someone else generates a force by pushing him or her, or the human being willingly moves a body part. So, in the second figure, it is written that a body is in motion. That means the body is moving, and it come to rest when some other forces act on it in a direction opposite to it. The third picture shows the body is in equilibrium. That means the forces are acting on the body, but the body is at rest. How is this possible? Yes, it can be, because when two oppositely directed forces are acting on a body, then some equilibrium is maintained, which has one criteria, that the amount of force working on opposite direction is equal. When the force on one side increases from the force on other side, then the body starts moving in the direction where the force is more. The third thing is resolution of forces. As you know that in this universe nothing is practically perfect. So these forces do not act perfectly on a body. Sometimes they form an angle, sometimes they act at different points. So it is essential to resolute the forces in order to know the motion direction or the movement direction. When two forces act at a point by making an angle, the motion occurs in the direction of the resultant force, which is calculated by the parallelogram law of vector addition. The two forces act at different points of an object, then there occurs a rotational motion. In the given diagram, the first one is the parallelogram law. When the two forces act at a point, let force A and force B, the movement occurs in another direction, let's x, which is the motion direction. In human beings, it is seen in our shoulder muscles, where the deltoid has three fibers. The anterior fibers and posterior fibers contract in two different directions in order to abduct the arm. So these two fibers are acting at a point where the shoulder tip, and the movement occurring at a different angle, which is abduction. Okay. So, and in next diagram I have showed that two forces acting at two different points. For example, it is seen in our scapula. When we elevate the arm, actually what happens, the scapula rotates upward or rotates laterally, that there occurs lateral rotation of the scapula, which is done by two muscles, that is the trapezius, which works as force A, and the serratus anterior, which works as force B in this direction, which leads the scapular lateral rotation. Next is concept of position. When an object is positioned on Earth's surface, it experiences a force called the gravitational force. As a result, there occurs a lot of changes inside the body in order to counterpart this force to maintain a particular position. What I want to say, to maintain a position, that means, for example, to maintain a standing position at a point, we need to counterpart the gravitational force that acts continuously when an object or an body placed on Earth's surface. So, as the Earth's mass is more than the human body's mass, so the human body is generally pulled towards the center of the Earth. Gravity is a universal force, as I said, it is present everywhere on Earth's surface. It can be defined as the force of attraction which attracts an object or a body towards the center of the earth. It can be defined also as the force of attraction between two bodies having a mass. Gravity acts as a point in an object called as the center of gravity and acts through a line called as the line of gravity. When a human body is subjected to gravity, to maintain an erect posture or position, there are group of muscles that work continuously in order to counterpart the forces of gravity. These group of muscles contract in such a way that the length of the muscles remains same, and it is called as the isometric contraction. It just only helps to maintain the joints in a specific position so the individual can attain a specific erect posture. The center of gravity of a rigid body is an imaginary point through which all the weight of the body acts. We can calculate the center of gravity by two ways. First, the calculation of the uniform objects, and second, the calculation of the COG of non-uniform objects. The calculation of the uniform objects is quite simple, as you know, the uniform objects have a center and the center of gravity lies there. But in irregular objects, we need to calculate it. How? For example, let's consider an irregular object, a boomerang. The shape of a boomerang is something like a U or V. The center of gravity of a boomerang actually lies outside the body. So, we can calculate it by hanging the irregular object from at least 2 points and drawing two lines from the hanging point so that they intersect at a point, and the point of intersection is known as the center of gravity. Then the line of gravity. Line of gravity is a line through which this gravitational force acts. It is an imaginary vertical line that is passing through the center of gravity to the floor. In normal human adult, the center of gravity lies somewhere at the S2 vertebra in standing posture. Then the next is the base of support. The base of support of a body is the area on which the body is subjected. It can be calculated on the estimation of the area which the subject covers on the supporting surface. The base of support is actually essential to determine the stability of an individual. Our next topic is the concept of dynamics, which will be released in the educational videos in few days. So before that, I am trying to have a interesting topic for you all. So it's a surprise for you. So stay tuned for it. I hope you liked the video. So please like, share and subscribe, and please click on the bell icon so that you will be notified when I will be sending up the new videos and it will be benefiting you. Thank you everyone. Bye bye.